Celeste is a game that you can only play for the first time once. I mean, technically that's true for all games, but this one's a little different. The game centers around climbing a mountain, and by the end of the game, you have felt like you have achieved a massive feat, climbed a momentous peak, and came out just a little stronger and wiser. Does it seem like I'm hyping it up just a bit too much? Possibly, but I believe that this game may have changed the way I think about some of my own insecurities. This game is very important to me, and I really want to get across just how much it means to me. So, without further ado, my name is Gryffiti, and this is my review of Celeste. Celeste was released in January of 2018, roughly 4 years from the writing of this script. It was developed by Noel Berry and Maddie Thorson. Fun fact, there are 8-bit side missions in this game called Pico 8, which are actually the original version of Celeste created for a game jam in only 4 days. Very impressive. The game is named after the unofficial title of a real-world mountain in Vancouver, Canada, which means if you really wanted to, you could climb Mount Celeste IRL, which sounds like a Mr. Beast video. The game received many awards over its lifetime, even being nominated for Game of the Year against many other hard-hitting titles like God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2. It's really cool to see an indie game break out among these AAA titles. But anyways, let's get into the story. I will be spoiling the story a bit, but I will let you know when we get to that point. So let's get started. The story of this game is one that I find very important and is a story I've not seen told successfully anywhere else. You play as a girl named Madeline, who is climbing Mount Celeste simply to prove to herself that she can accomplish the monumental task. On her journey, she meets several interesting characters. First is a woman who lives at the base of the mountain, who is a bit rude, but warms up to her later. And then there is Theo, who is an Instagram blogger, who is very supportive and a really cool character. Then you meet Mr. Oshiro, who is a ghost running an abandoned hotel on the mountainside. But the most important character you meet besides Madeline is Madeline's other half, who breaks through a mirror and begins terrorizing you, telling you that you will never make it and that you will never achieve anything, and generally being unsupportive of the whole endeavor, to say the least. Now I am about to get into spoilers, and be warned, I believe the heart and soul of this game lies in the spoiler section, and it will ruin it if you don't experience it for yourself. You have been warned. Throughout the game, Madeline is seen having panic attacks, and she even talks on length about her struggles with mental illness. This second part of her seems to be all of her anxieties placed into a single being. You find out that although this being has been hurting Madeline, that is not really her true intention. She really wants Madeline to give up, because if she doesn't, Madeline, which is the name for this other side of Madeline, will also have to climb to the top of the mountain, and she's really scared that they're not going to make it. Eventually, after a really intense boss fight against Madeline, who in my opinion isn't really bad, just sort of misguided, you have a long talk with her and decide to join forces to finish what is left of the climb. I feel like sometimes we often think we can just move past our mental struggles, like something's gonna heal our mental illnesses if we wait long enough. But sometimes we need to use all of what we have in order to achieve our goals, even if that means accepting the fact that we may be broken or have some issues. This game shows that in a cartoony but still grounded way that I really appreciate as someone who has and still does have those struggles. In the end, you make it to the top of the mountain and have a party with the few friends you've met eating a strawberry pie, which seems like an odd detail for me to point out, but just wait, because that part actually blew my mind. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and look at the meat of this game, which is the gameplay. Gameplay starts out really straightforward. You have 3 moves. You can jump, you can dash, and you can climb. Using these 3 moves, you must reach the end of the screen in a single attempt to move on to the next. Dying will bring you back to the start of the screen in mere milliseconds, which is really appreciated because you will die a lot. Like, a lot. This game is difficult, but what makes it really painful is that the game is also very fair. What I mean by this is that every single time you die, it really feels like it's your fault and not because the game is trying to get you to do something that's impossible. and in some cases that makes mistakes feel even worse than if the game just screwed you over. I think this game was made to be played on PC. Let me explain. I played on the Nintendo Switch, which besides having a bit of slowdown occasionally, which is kind of insane for a sprite-based indie game, the controller I was using didn't seem to want to register the difference between a diagonal dash and a horizontal dash. This caused many deaths that were a bit annoying. So my next attempt I would use the D-pad, but that didn't really work all that well either, with the way the Pro Controller's D-pad is one connected button, leading to more misinputs. That got annoying, but I don't really fault the game for this at all. The game has a ton of different mechanics as you progress through the 8 chapters of the game. According to the Celeste fandom Wikia, there are 92 different mechanics in this game, which is absolutely insane for me to list off, so I'm going to mainly focus on some of my favorites. There are white clouds and pink clouds that you can jump off of to gain a ton of height. They also replenish your dash when you hit them since they technically count as the ground. Then there are 2 dash crystals, which are green crystals which, if broken, allow you to replenish your dash as well, allowing you to do so in the air. One of my personal favorites are the Star Blobs. These are sparkly liquid blocks that when dashed through take you in that direction until the end of the block. If you hit a wall while doing this, however, it will kill you instantly, which I did many times. The last one I remember, and my favorite, is the feather. It's a little hard to explain, but basically turns you into a yellow missile able to be controlled with just the joystick. It's a real blast to use. And these are just some of the fun ways you'll be able to get around in Celeste. Now before we finish up, let's get into the finer details that made this game both a chore and a joy to finish. Before I talk about certain things I really liked and really didn't like in this game, I want to let you all in on my process a bit. My schedule makes me need to finish and upload these reviews by at least Thursday of each week. So I end up only having the weekend to beat a game, which is not exactly ideal, which is why at the same time as this review, I was also playing the newly released Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I should be reviewing next week. What I'm essentially getting at is that I did not have a lot of time to beat this game. And that almost made it more fun. Seeing if I could not only beat the game, but beat the game in a short amount of time really made me understand why people enjoy speedruns so much. But anyways, let's get into the things I didn't like as much. There's one mechanic that was not at all fun and was just annoying. For one entire chapter, you have to fight the wind while also platforming. It's not fun, it's simply a chore to do, and made me despise that section of the game. Also, certain screens will be much longer than others and will rely entirely on trial and error, which would be fine if I felt like they gave you a chance to beat it in one try, but often at the very end of the screen they'll put something that you will have no idea was coming and will kill you, forcing you to start the screen all over again, which was something I found very frustrating. But after I beat the game, it almost feels endearing, like they meant it to be a little trolly at times just so when you beat the game, you feel that much more accomplished about it. That is a very long sentence, a paragraph long sentence. Speaking of the end of the game, final spoiler warning for this video coming right up. There's a collectible in this game called strawberries, which are hidden in screens that are difficult but not needed to complete the game. During a menu, the game tells you that you should not feel obligated to get them because they will only impress your friends, which is why I ended up only getting 17 out of the 175. At the end of the game, you host a party where the picture you get at the end with all the characters of the game relies on how many strawberries you got. Since I barely got any, the picture I got was the worst of them. At first, I'm gonna be honest, this pissed me off to no end. For the game to tell me that it didn't matter, that it was only gonna impress my friends, and then seemingly pulling the rug out from under me at the end, really made my journey seem a little more pointless. But then I thought about it. It would only impress my friends. It would only impress my friends. And then it hit me. It wasn't talking about my friends. It was talking about Madeline's friends in the picture. Depending on how many strawberries you get, the picture changes to all of them being more impressed. Regardless of the ending I got, figuring that out really put a smile on my face. And of course, there are many other things in this game that put a smile on my face. Just like A Hat in Time, each chapter has a piece of artwork corresponding to it, and they are all drawn so perfectly and with so much heart. The music is just great. As I write this script, I'm listening to the soundtrack because I love it so much. I love that this game is so hard, because it made reaching the peak feel like I had just finished a marathon. Yes, there were many times where I was frustrated beyond belief, but finally finishing it made me feel like I was on top of the world. And with that, let's get into the rating. This game is something special, something you can only experience for the first time once. I believe that this game has a story to tell that could honestly impact those who play it. I saw a part of myself in these characters through their struggles, and seeing them overcome them made it seem possible for me to overcome mine. And maybe that seems like an overstatement, and maybe it is, but this game truly means a lot to me, and despite the long screens and mechanics I didn't like as much, this game has easily earned its 8.7 out of 10. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Welcome to the end screen. You're probably wondering, oh, what's he going to talk about this time? Well, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and yes, I say Arceus. I don't care if it's Arceus. Arceus sounds stupid. It's Arceus. I'm working on that review right now, and it's been a lot of fun. I don't want to spoil how I feel about the game, but I like it, so there's that. The review should be coming out next week, but if not, I will be playing a different game. I'm not sure what it is yet at the time of me recording this. I will be playing another game to serve as like a gap in between the Celeste review and the Pokemon review. So we'll see what that ends up being. But thank you guys so much for staying till the very end of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.